休息。 So, last week, I launched a project that I was really excited about that we've been working on for a while, a wallpaper app called Panels. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way, including the fact that I didn't really explain anything. I didn't explain the UI, what was in it, the point of the app, and most importantly, why it had a freaking $50 price tier. And so appropriately, the entire internet was very disappointed, and that's 100% on me. I think that that's part of what can happen when you spend a long time building something, that you forget that other people don't have that context. But the point of this video is not to make excuses, it's to actually break down and explain everything so that you have it straight from me. Now, first of all, and I'll get to pricing in a second, but just right from the top, a wallpaper app. Pretty niche thing, right? Like most people will just use one of their own pictures as a wallpaper or grab something cool from Google. That's something I've done many times over the years. So it's a very small fraction of people who will actually download an app, let alone pay for a wallpaper on their phone. But the reason I decided to try and make a wallpaper app is because for years I've been answering this one very common question, which is, where'd you get that wallpaper? Like in videos and screens and devices I'm reviewing, where'd you get that piece? And so if I could always have some place to point to that's on iOS and Android, if I could have a link in every description, then that would be awesome. And if I can leverage this incredible platform you guys have given me to give way more eyeballs to the artists that make that art that I'm using, I felt like that was something worth building. It's actually an idea that's been floating around the studio for years, and we never really knew where to start. But then like a year and a half ago, a developer reached out to us with a similar idea, and we were like, all right, this is great, let's collaborate and let's actually build this thing. So that's when we set off to actually start making it. So many months ago, myself and a developer team of 2, along with some others on my team here at the studio, set off to build this thing, and this is what we ended up with. It's a fresh new app. There's a few hundred pieces in here by a bunch of different hand-picked artists that I've used art from in the past, plus a few people in the studio here submitting their own. And then on any page, if you like it, you can get it, but you can also click on the artist's name and see more from that person, including their socials. So this is something specific that sets it apart. Now again, most people, like 99.9% of humans do not buy wallpapers. But there is a pretty awesome community of artists making sick art, sometimes free, sometimes a few bucks. I know from being in the thick of it for many years, I've personally gotten very used to poking around and finding a sick wallpaper or icon pack and go straight to the source. It is a few bucks and you download it straight from there. And we wanted to support both of those in this app, free art and paid art. So this is where a lot of the pricing conversation comes in. And this was a misjudgment on my part. Like this is also terribly communicated. So I want to make super clear, this should be a free app. This should be a great free app experience for the vast majority of people who use it. And I really dropped the ball there. And obviously I've never made an app before. I make videos and review products, but the people are right. Like if I was reviewing this app, I would not have been very nice. But this is the two-sided coin of, deciding to now go build something in public. Is if we're gonna dish it, we gotta be able to take it too. And so there has been no shortage of tons of actually constructive feedback that we've taken notes on, and sort of started to turn into this app that we had pictured in our heads. We're sort of dialing in what we actually want to make. But hey, a lot of people have a lot of questions now. So for the sake of transparency, let me just go over the biggest questions, give you the answers to those questions, and then some of the biggest updates that we've made so far. So number one, pricing. Nobody wants to pay that much for wallpapers. Totally get it. And there are so many reasons why we failed on the price front. So 3 steps that we're taking here. So first of all, just to bring it back, a wallpaper app is niche. Paying for a wallpaper is even more niche. And so like a subscription to wallpapers is something that I think less than 1% of 1% of people would ever even consider. So if you're looking at panels and find yourself thinking, this seems crazy paying for a wallpaper, you're not wrong. You are most people. So our first priority is we want to make sure the free experience of the app is great. It's got to be way better. So I'm getting rid of those third-party in-feed ads. This was one of my misjudgments. Like we just don't need those. They feel cheap and they're also harder to attribute to specific artists anyway. So now the feed is clean. And then all non-collections wallpapers are available for free in 1080p, no ads. And if you want the full res, sometimes 4K, sometimes 8K, depending on the art, you can get a full resolution version with a single 30-second ad to try to offset server costs and pay artists. So if you really want it for a high-res tablet or a computer wallpaper or some big screen in your life, then you can get all of it, any of it, for free. Now, even though subscriptions are incredibly unpopular, we wanted to at least offer one that made sense for the wallpaper power user, for how few of you actually exist. So first of all, we have a new tier that is $2 a month, which is everything I just mentioned, completely ad-free and full resolution, everything across the board. So that means you never have to see another ad, never have to worry about that, and you always get the highest resolution version no matter what screen you're downloading for. I think this is really fair and should hopefully continue to help pay to keep the app running as well. Secondly, we also offer, for those of you who are really into this world, like I said earlier, we support paid art. Collections is what they're called. So there are artists who have really gone out of their way to put a ton of work in on certain pieces they've made and have decided to charge for those collections of pieces. Totally cool. There's a whole world of those too. So if you're using Panels and you jump in and decide to buy one single collection for $3, $4, $5 or whatever, that's cool. But if there's a bunch of these that you really like, we wanted to give people an option to just unlock literally everything. So that's Panels Plus. So you can subscribe, and for $12, it unlocks literally every single collection in the whole app, plus anything premium that gets added while you're a subscriber. I think as of right now, that entire value of every artist's paid packs, if you paid them individually, is about $100, even before any new art drops. So we settled at $12 because that's around what it would cost if you were purchasing more than 2 collections straight up. And then, in case you're someone who really loves to change your wallpaper, say you're a tech reviewer or something, or you have a whole bunch of devices, then you know you're already going to commit to this for more than a few months. We wanted to give people the option to just pay for Panels Plus for a year, and we made that $50. So I think that nets to the equivalent of like roughly $4 a month, but that's the point of why that exists. And I understand that most people will still find forever the $50 number crazy because it's for power users and it seems crazy, but if you happen to be one of those power users, then that's why this tier exists. So at least now you know why. And the third important point is that we're splitting profits with the artists 50-50. This is something I mentioned in the original video. And there's a lot of initial discussion around if this is fair. I think it is. I base this on, to be totally honest, on YouTube, which actually I believe theirs is 45-55, but I did 50-50 to be simple. But the idea is the same, which is that hopefully this whole thing can bring a bunch of extra eyes to the art the same way YouTube tries to. Frankly, there's another thing I'm open to changing. Like, we've set it at that and now are collecting as much information as we can, but I'll be in touch with artists about that too. I'm all there to be safe, but that was a dumb choice.
The things people are saying about the guy behind WordPress right now are absolutely brutal. He has main character syndrome, a cancer to his own community. Matt has the legal acumen of a pissed off preteen who thought he was clever. Naming his company Automattic really says it all. Automattic is doing open source dirty. It's sad to watch, really. The internet really seems to hate this guy right now.
Move this man!
Which is ironic because it's his own tool that's responsible for over 40% of the websites on the internet. But is he really a tyrannical leader who's losing his mind? Or is he actually an open source freedom fighter battling evil private equity firms to make the world a better place? In today's video, you decide. We'll look at a timeline of the recent WordPress drama, which began to spiral out of control a couple weeks ago when Automattic, the owner of the WordPress trademark, requested millions of dollars from WP Engine, one of the most popular WordPress hosting platforms. That's led to a bunch of mean tweets and lawsuits, but the drama hit new heights yesterday with the most controversial checkbox ever implemented on a website. What the hell is going on with WordPress? It is October 11th, 2024, and you're watching the Code Report. If you're a JavaScript developer, it may come as a shock to you that nearly half the websites on the internet run WordPress, an open source tool built on PHP and jQuery, and easily the most successful website builder of all time. Because why write code when you can just put a bunch of plugins together like Lego bricks? The main reason WordPress is so prolific is that it has a massive ecosystem of themes and plugins that allow both programmers and non-programmers to build almost anything. I've deployed many WordPress sites for clients in the past, and simply hosting WordPress sites is a multi-billion-dollar industry. WordPress itself is licensed under the GNU General Public License, which means you're free to modify and use it commercially as long as derivative works have the same license. But that doesn't include the WordPress logo and name trademarks, which require permission from the WordPress Foundation to be used in any project or product. But what you should know is that the WordPress Foundation is a charitable organization created by Matt Mullenweg. Now, one curious detail is that up until about 2 weeks ago, it said the abbreviation WP is not covered by the WordPress trademarks and you're free to use it in any way you see fit. But that line was recently updated to say now you can't use it if it confuses people, and then proceeds to trash WP Engine. You can find it on WordPress.org, which differs from WordPress.com, the commercial arm of WordPress which provides hosting services, which itself is owned by Automattic, a multi-billion-dollar company where Matt Mullenweg is the CEO. You would think that WordPress.com is the default host everyone goes with, but there's this other highly successful company out there called WP Engine. It makes hundreds of millions of dollars hosting WordPress and is backed by private equity firm Silver Lake, where the main goal is to provide a return on capital. And that means they put far less effort contributing back to the nonprofit arm of WordPress, at least compared to Automattic. And one important fact to know here is that Automattic was an investor and part owner of WP Engine until it sold to Silver Lake in 2018. There's likely bad blood between the two companies going back years, but the main catalyst for the recent drama happened on September 20th, when Automattic sent this trademark license agreement to WP Engine. It's basically a ransom note demanding that they pay Automattic a royalty of 8% of its gross revenue on a monthly basis, which in this case would be millions of dollars per month. The reason Mullenweg was so pissed was A, that WP Engine profits off of WordPress and doesn't give back, B, they improperly use the trademark, like their payment plans which look like official WordPress products, and C, they quote strip mine the WordPress ecosystem, giving users a crappier experience. In other words, they don't want them forking and remarketing their open source plugins like WooCommerce. Now, as you might imagine, WP Engine didn't sign the term sheet. What's crazy though is that the very next day, on September 21st, Matt Mullenweg goes on stage at the WordCamp US conference and calls WP Engine, quote, a cancer to WordPress.
How private equity can hollow out and destroy open source communities.
Very interesting timing for that presentation, but things are about to get a lot crazier. WordPress.org also made a blog post called WP Engine is not WordPress, which reiterates that they don't give enough back and describes how they turn off features like revisions to save money on their backend infrastructure. 2 days later, on September 23rd, WP Engine claps back with a cease and desist, which accuses Mullenweg of making salacious and outrageous statements. That same day, Automatic claps back on their clapback with its own cease and desist, telling WP Engine to stop the unauthorized use of their trademarks. At this point, it's just been a bunch of legal shit-talking, but then 2 days later, on September 25th, WP Engine gets banned from WordPress.org. That's a big deal because it means the WordPress installs on their platform can no longer get updates or add plugins from the .org repo, thus having a direct impact on WordPress developers and end users. And that's kind of crazy considering that Mullenweg is offering a competing platform with WordPress.com. And he also went to his blog and said, quote, WP Engine is free to offer their own hacked up, bastardized simulacra of WordPress's GPL code to their customers, and they can experience WordPress as WP Engine envisions it. That's harsh, but Mullenweg does have a good number of supporters online. If you don't agree with him, Automatic even offered a severance package to employees who wanted to leave, offering $30,000 or 6 months pay, and 159 employees took that deal, or 8.4% of the entire staff. Now, after the initial ban, Mullenweg went on a media tour where he argued his position on the Primeagen and Theo streams.
This stuff, I think it attacks so much.
I can imagine you've had
last night.
an
I actually
eventful few
vomited
days.
at one point. I'm like not feeling the best, so I know this is a video stream. I probably don't look the best, but please.
Oh, you look great. Don't worry about how you look. Don't worry. You have me next to you.
He's fighting a battle in the court of public opinion, but I can't imagine his lawyers advised him to do that because then immediately after, WP Engine filed a lawsuit, and it even cited those stream appearances. Inside the lawsuit, there's all kinds of claims like Computer Fraud and Abuse Act violations, attempted extortion, unfair competition, libel and slander, and many other claims. But then things got even more nutty when the WordPress.org login added this new checkbox that said, I am not affiliated with WP Engine in any way, financially or otherwise. You'll want to talk to your lawyer before you check that because it has a CSS class of login lawsuit, and you can't even log into WordPress without checking it. That forced WP Engine to come out and clarify that their customers and users are not affiliates. All this nonsense has people talking about forking WordPress, but the entire thing is a great example of how there are no good guys in war. Are you on the team of the petty megalomaniac CEO who's willing to burn down his entire community to prove a point, or are you on the team of the parasitic freeloading private equity firm whose only guiding principle is financial gain? There's only one loser in this war, and that's the WordPress user. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
So I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day. He got this new job a couple of months ago, and after really grinding it out, he's actually starting to do really good. It's a sales job, and I think he's making around 10K a month, which is really good in Canada. But then he found himself kind of depressed, and I talked to him about it, and I was trying to find out what it was. And I realized that the reason he was depressed is because he was lonely. And that's the thing, as a man, when you start to do better, you start to get more lonely. And it seems like it would be the opposite, right? You start to make more money, you start to go to the gym more, you stop all your bad habits like video games and drinking. You just think that you're gonna enter this world where there's all these other guys like you that are leveling up. And then you guys can all hang out together and just go meet women and life's good, right? But it's actually the opposite, because what happens is as you start to level up and start to do better, especially comparatively to those around you, you actually start to get isolated. Because when you start to do better in life, the people around you start to judge you. They start to go, oh, like, how come you don't come over anymore? How come you're never on Xbox anymore? How come you don't come out to the bars anymore? The thing is, humans are terrified of being alone. And this is why so many of us don't ever improve. Because as soon as you start to do something a little bit different than others, you feel like you're missing out. My friend was the kind of guy that loved to party. He'd always be going to like raves or nightclubs. He loved like DJing and all that stuff. And that's all his friends did. So the friends you make in your early 20s often become the friends that you hang out with for the rest of your life. But the problem is, in our 20s, we change so much. And those same guys that want to go out every night and are considered your friends when you're like 21 are not even doing the same thing as you at 25. A lot of the time, they never grow up. And you are 25 now. You're like, okay, I want to move out of my parents' house. I want to get a better spot. I want to get a girlfriend long-term, etc. And all your friends are like, dude, what do you mean? Let's go out this weekend. And you have to kind of balance this weird situation where it's like, okay, I got this new job. I started a business. I'm eating healthy. I'm working out. Everything's going good. But all my friends aren't doing that. So we don't have anything in common anymore. And then you don't hang out with these people anymore because you know, like, well, I'm prioritizing new things. And people take that personally. They think that the reason you're not like hitting them back or going out with them is because you don't like them or you think you're better than them. That's not it. The reason is because you know that you have problems you're trying to solve. So all of a sudden, I really empathize with my friend and so many young men because, you know, it's so difficult to go without your core friend group, especially when you're working on something long term, because they don't really understand why you're doing it. So if you're relating to this right now and you're like, yeah, I have noticed that since I started working out more, since I stopped going out as much, my friends have kind of been a little bit distant with me. What you need to do is have the tough conversation with them. And what I mean by that is just sit down with them and be like, look, the reason I'm not coming out or texting you back isn't because like I don't like you guys or anything like that. It's because I got this new job, I got this new business I'm working on, and I just have like deadlines that I set, you know? In a couple months, when things slow down a bit, then I can start hanging out with you guys again. And if you have that honest conversation, people will understand. But it's just that the biggest issue we have as young people is we don't communicate properly, okay? If you don't hear from your friend for a while, sometimes you think, wow, he must not like me anymore. Wow, he must hate me. Wow, he must be talking shit about me, right? But in reality, he just hasn't hit you up because he's got other things going on. It's the same thing that happens with relationships, right? When you're single and you go out and you meet some girl and she's cool and you talk back and forth with her, but then she doesn't text you back, you take it so personally. You think, what did I do wrong? You know, why didn't she text me back? I thought we really had a connection. And all of a sudden you start going like, what's wrong with me, right? The reality is maybe she met somebody else. Maybe she had a boyfriend. Maybe she was busy with work. Maybe her father passed away. You have no idea. But as humans, we automatically think that we are the reason, okay? And this breeds insecurity. And that is why, as you start to do better and your friends, they don't hear from you as much, all of a sudden they think, well, something must be wrong with me. And that's the thing, man. People don't want to do better than those around them. It's called tall poppy syndrome. Essentially, if you grow taller than everybody else, or if you start doing something everybody else doesn't, they start to resent you, because when you can do something, it kind of shows them they can do it too. But they don't want to think that they can do it because they want to stay right where they are. And that's the thing. People would rather stay right where they are so that they're not judged, so that they're at the same level as everybody else, so that they're not lonely, as opposed to doing the things that would really improve their life, but they might have to be lonely. For a while. And that is one of the saddest things, because guys don't realize this till it's too late. And, you know, most of us figure this out at some point in our 20s, but I know guys that are a couple years older than me, they're in their 30s, and they're just like still only comparing themselves to the 3 or 4 buddies of theirs from high school, right? And they think that anybody that's like trying to start a second business or working out every day, they think that that's a try hard. And it's this weird like form of procrastination that you actually project onto the other people in your life. And then because of that, it kind of keeps you in this bubble where you don't have to do anything, right? And this is such a big issue nowadays because, especially in North America, cost of living is very expensive. It's very difficult to get a good paying job. Dating is hard for a lot of guys, and everybody's distracted on social media. So it's very easy to just hear people complain and complain and complain all the time. And this is what's mind-boggling to me, because I have people that I don't hang out with specifically, but I have friends that still hang out with some of their old buddies that, you know, act this way. And they tell me, they're like, yeah, none of my friends want to do anything. And I'm just like, dude, there's so many videos on YouTube of like how to quit your job, how to start a business, how to get a higher paying job, how to approach and talk to girls, how to build a new social circle, how to like, you know, become good at talking to the camera, start a YouTube channel. There's so many resources out there on YouTube. And for whatever reason, he's like, yeah, but they just don't want to watch the videos, you know? And I'm like, okay.
The tech sector shed more than 386,000 jobs in 2022 and the first half of 2023.
80% of Twitter either left or quit or was pushed out, laid off, whatever you want to call it, and yet the website still runs.
Even though 2/3 of tech workers are men, more than half of those laid off in 2022 and 2023 were women.
Approximately 50,000 H-1B holders lost their status due to unemployment.
Over the course of this year, Canada is going to be developing a specific stream for some of the world's most highly talented people that will be able to come to Canada to work for tech companies, whether they have a job offer or not.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
Subgenre of viral video. Watch this person get laid off in real time. The tech industry is again seeing widespread layoffs after a rough 2023.
LinkedIn just laid off nearly 700 employees. Qualcomm is planning to cut more than 1,200 jobs.
Google, Amazon, and Snap are among the companies continuing to downsize.
And the start of 2024 seems no different as layoff announcements, especially in the tech industry, continue to make headlines.
Units affected, they also include hardware, engineering, ad sales. So far, last night, CEO Sundar Pichai told his workforce to expect more cuts.
An Amazon spokesperson did confirm those layoffs. The head of Prime and Prime Video and MGM saying in that memo that the company is making some of the cuts to prioritize investments for the long term.
Layoffs are also plaguing industries like healthcare, banking, and media. However, the tech industry is the one that's been dominating the headlines.
This layoff and everything that's happened in tech, I think is pretty eye-opening. You know, like you can have your dream job, you can have your, oh, it's my dream to work for Microsoft, or it's my dream to work for AWS. And you get there and you realize, okay, it's just like any other job. It's a great place to be. There's a lot of great perks, but at the end of the day, they can get rid of you like that.
The layoffs to the start of 2024 signal a dramatic shift in the tech industry. We're going to continue to see layoffs happen as the future of work has changed, as the future of technology has changed, and as investors' appetite for risk and growth versus profitability has dramatically changed as well.
So why are big tech companies and other industries laying off tens of thousands of workers at a time when the U.S. economy looks strong on paper? The start of the COVID-19 pandemic was a dire economic event, at least at first. The tech industry, though, boomed. In 2020, tech's top 7 companies added $3.4 trillion in value. The Fed's emergency moves to bolster the pandemic-hit economy, like cutting interest rates to near zero, helped boost tech stocks. This move helped the tech industry to expand and went on a hiring spree as people were confined home. Amazon added the most number of employees during this golden period, peaking at 1.6 million employees in 2021.
If you rewind before the layoffs, all the tech companies were really putting an emphasis on growth. And so capital was really cheap, so you could get loans, you could get money, access to capital was really affordable. And then you see as interest rates went up and you start to see that growth in headcount didn't translate to growth in profitability and access to capital became quite a bit tighter. You saw many companies start to hit the panic button. And so we saw these thousands and thousands of people get laid off all at once. And that was quite a shock.
80% of Twitter either left or quit or was pushed out, laid off, whatever you want to call it, and yet the website still runs. Do you think people are looking at Elon Musk and thinking, you know what? Do we really need all these people?
I do give Elon Musk credit for this, for kicking off and making this acceptable with Twitter, but a lot of the big companies decided to get lean and efficient. And this is where you kind of start to see the incredible leverage of what these tech platforms really have, which is they didn't need those people, right? They were hoarding the talent. It was an option bet and it was a cheap one for them.
Yeah, I ask every tech CEO, do you take inspiration for what Elon does? Yeah. And they'll say on the record, no, we don't. We would never want to do that. But, in the group chats, they're all like, wow, that was an amazing move.
The artificial intelligence hype of 2023 is starting to have real-world effects in 2024. Major tech CEOs are doubling down their investments in AI. In January 2024, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced his plans to build an artificial general intelligence known as AGI.
Hey everyone. Today, I'm bringing Meta's 2 AI research efforts closer together to support our long-term goals of building general intelligence, open sourcing it responsibly, and making it available and useful to everyone in all of our daily lives.
All this investment in creating AI jobs, but at the expense of others. The recent report from Indeed shows that the number of job posts containing Gen AI terms has been surging.
So there's about a 500% increase in the number of jobs that mention generative AI. There's about a 6,000% increase in the demand for job seekers for these jobs. But there still is, I think, a mismatch the other way in that the total amount of demand for AI talent far outstrips the number of AI professionals.
Every company in every industry is trying to figure out how to use AI in everything they do. I mean, AI is going to create a lot more jobs as well, but at the same time, I would say that there will be jobs that will be automated.
So you think AI has already hit the business effectively?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in the tech sector. I mean, they've been talking about it for years now, the fact that you have more companies moving toward artificial intelligence, and they're looking at the fact that as opposed to paying somebody $200,000, $300,000 a year to do the job, I can actually use artificial intelligence to do the job that they used to be able to do.
This AI thing is real, it's not going away, and they can't have people holding them back. And so what they've been doing over the past year is finding places within the organization that they can trim so that they can get to a place where they're shipping faster, so taking managers out, and then engineers who are skilled for a previous generation of technology, they're also leaving to make room for people who are more skilled for artificial intelligence.
AI is definitely playing a role in the layoffs that we're seeing. Automation has increased efficiency for some of the workers who are able to
We so hot, we so right.